All right, and welcome in, everybody. Hope you're having a fantastic, fantabulous, awesome freaking day. My name is Garrett Shoemake, and this is the Shoemake Take. Today, we move to the NFC East, talking about a team that a lot of people are not going to be happy that I have them where they are. I'm talking about America's team, not really, the Dallas Cowboys, and how I think they're not going to be good in 2025, unfortunately. So, the Cowboys... Oh boy, there's a lot of problems in Dallas right now. There is not a lot of hope for this team. There is not a lot of excitement. And, oh man, this Dallas Cowboys team is going to be a tough one to watch, I think. There is issues with this team. There is a lot of problems that go beyond what's on the field. Jerry Jones, the infection that Jerry Jones is to this team, the cancer that he is to this team, is finally starting to catch up with him in a big way. And I think you're going to see a Dallas Cowboys team that really suffers because of his meddling. And I think it's time. It's been time for years for him to step down, hire a new GM, just be the owner of the team, and just let other people that are more experienced, that are more qualified in today's NFL, and just do their job. Because Jerry Jones, has he been successful? Yeah. Objectively, the Cowboys franchise is worth more than it ever has been, the most profitable NFL franchise in the NFL right now. And along with that, I mean, the Cowboys have been continuously good. They've been always pretty competitive and never really bad. But now they're going to be pretty bad this year. I'm really not excited about the Cowboys. But all that being said, if you guys know how the 2025 season preview series works, you can go ahead and jump into the discussion. The timestamp is in the video description. But for those of you that do not know, here's what we're going to be breaking down. We're going to briefly recap 2024. What was each team's record and what did each team look like? Then we'll jump into the offseason. We'll talk about notable offseason news, coaching changes, notable player extensions or resignings, stuff like that. And then we'll look at free agency, who they added, who they lost. Then we'll look at the draft and break down each and every pick and give you my thoughts on the overall draft class. And then after that, we will look at each team's schedule, break it down game by game, look at where things are easy, look at where things were hard, and look at the most important matchups. And then after that, I'll kind of give you guys my thoughts on what I think the team looks like. Are they going to be good? Are they going to be bad? Mid? What is their strengths? What is their weaknesses? And then we'll wrap a bow on the whole thing, giving you guys my official record prediction for each team, along with some storylines that I'll be looking for in 2025. With that being said, let's talk about Dem Boys, because in 2024, the Dem Boys were not that good. They won only 7 games, and quite frankly, this team, after Dak Prescott went down, was boring. Very, very, very boring. If it wasn't for Ceedee Lamb later in the year before they shut him down, and then Rico Dowdle making something out of absolutely nothing, this team would have been unwatchable. This offense, outside of those two guys, really didn't do a whole lot. Very disappointing. And then the defense was, after Micah Parsons, when Micah Parsons wasn't there, this defense was a mess. When he was there, the defense was okay, but they still have plenty of issues on that side of the ball that really have not been addressed all that much. But we will get to that when we get to that. So this offseason, very eventful for the Dallas Cowboys, of course. They let go of Mike McCarthy. They decided to not renew his contract, and so he ended up just leaving. And so far, I don't think he's found a job anywhere else in the NFL, which is interesting. I don't know if that's a reflection on Dallas or himself, but the guy that they brought in, I'm sorry, I would much rather have Mike McCarthy. They hired offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer to be the head coach, and this feels more like a puppet than a actual head coach. Brian Schottenheimer has never been a head coach in the NFL before, and the last time he was an offensive coordinator, he had 2 good years with the Jets. Remember when they made the AFC Championship in 2009 and 2010? Yeah, I sure do, because it's the only time they've been relevant in 20 years. But other than that, his offenses have been mid to bad. Well, there you have it. Like, as an offensive coordinator, he's not had the most successful career at all anyways. And so this just kind of feels like a shoo-in head coach. No one really has faith in Brian Schottenheimer, really. Like, who actually does, if we're being honest? No one really knew who Brian Schottenheimer was until he got promoted. The only thing that's really carrying him is the fact that he is the son of Marty Schottenheimer, who is an incredible NFL offensive mind who pioneered the modern passing game to see what it is today. But I don't like the higher price Schottenheimer. I just don't. Like, there's nothing that excites me about him. He doesn't have a good, successful, like, tenure as an offensive coordinator. He's just been a coach that's been around, that's just done his job. And I don't think that he was the guy that they really needed to bring in for the Dallas Cowboys. I thought they should have brought someone from the outside, someone that brought in a fresh mind, a fresh perspective. He's just going to be a yes man to Jerry Jones, and that is that, like I said, a puppet. But they did bring in Matt Eberflus as defensive coordinator. This move I can actually really like. Obviously, after getting fired in Chicago, a lot of people have a bad taste in their mouth with Matt Eberflus. But if you guys remember, before he became the head coach of the Bears, he was the defensive coordinator of the Colts. And when he was the DC, the Colts defense was good. They were actually really good. And so that gives me a lot of faith with the Cowboys. And they do have some talent on their defense, so he has some pieces to work with. So that's exciting. But the other big offseason news, and this one is the most devastating. I want to say the other word, D-A blank N-I-N-G. I'm not going to say the curse word. Obviously, this is a family-friendly show. I'm never going to do that. But Micah Parsons is done in Dallas. They tried to get an extension done. The Cowboys have not been willing to budge whatsoever. Jerry Jones has said some things criticizing Micah Parsons for wanting a new deal, even though he got hurt, right? Trying to use that against him. And then it got to a point where Micah Parsons had to say on social media that he doesn't want to play for the Dallas Cowboys anymore because they've shown that they don't want him. They've shown him nothing but disrespect so far this offseason with him trying to get a deal done on his side of things. According to his camp, they've tried to reach out numerous times, him and an agent, about getting an extension done. Jerry Jones tried to have private negotiations with Micah Parsons, according to him, without his agent there, which that's a big no-no. You do not want to do that. But Jerry Jones, he's a rich billionaire. He thinks he can do whatever the heck he wants. That does not surprise me if that's true. However, Micah Parsons, it's only a matter of time before he gets traded. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't think the Cowboys are going to try and trade him. I think they're going to try and hold him hostage because I don't get it. You don't want to lose one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. But if he doesn't want to play, do right by the player and at least do something good for him and trade him to a good football team. I know all the jokes are out there about him wanting to be a Philadelphia Eagle, and I don't think that happens. I think the Eagles are pretty stacked right now, and I don't know if they want to give up draft capital to get Micah Parsons and take on a new contract, considering all that they have paid up right now. But let me tell you something. If he does go to Philly, holy crap. Holy crap. The entire NFL is screwed. At that point, I'm just going to shoe in the Eagles to be the Super Bowl winner, not even having to make them back. If they get Micah Parsons, they're winning it. Like, at that point, there's no debate, there's no doubt at all. They'd be winning the Super Bowl again. But for right now, he is still a Dallas Cowboy. He is done. I don't think he plays for them anymore. It's only a matter of time before he leaves. I just don't know if the Dallas Cowboys are going to do right by him and trade him right away before the season starts, which sucks. And once again, it's another example of Jerry Jones meddling in the team when he does not need to. He does not need to do all he does. He loved to sit there and act like a big shot, say stuff to the media, and all it does is just make him look like an idiot. I said this last year about Jerry Jones when he made comments about Ceedee Lamb and his contract holdout, and they waited till the last minute to get his deal done. Same thing with Dak Prescott, although he didn't really say a lot of negative things about Dak because, you say something bad about your quarterback, now things are really problematic. Look at what Deshaun Watson and Jimmy Haslam have to deal with in Cleveland right now. But he just needs his prime example, or I should say he's a prime example of Jerry Jones just needing to step down. He thinks that he's just so big, he's so powerful, he can do all this and that, like running the NFL, like in the same era than which he bought it in the 80s. And no, the NFL is much different now, and he has not adapted. He needs to step down. And the fact that their best player, Micah Parsons, has openly said on social media he does not want to be on the team anymore. Good God, that's so frustrating if you're a Cowboys fan, because you finally got a really good pass rusher, and what happens? Jerry Jones is the one to screw it all up. But that's enough of that. That's enough ranting about Jerry Jones and the Micah Parsons situation, which is unfortunate. Wonder who's going to end up trading for him. Whoever it does is going to be getting a massive upgrade. But without that being said, let's just talk about their free agents and who they brought in. So their free agency was interesting, to say the least. overall, I thought they did an okay job. They brought in a lot of depth on both sides of the ball. On the offensive side, they brought in guys like Jerron Christian, Hakeem Adeniji, Robert Jones to provide depth to an offensive line that's already solid. That's encouraging. And then the big one, they traded for wide receiver George Pickens from Pittsburgh. And as exciting it's going to be in year one for Dak Prescott, Ceedee Lamb, and George Pickens, as exciting as it is, that's all you're going to get because he's going to be a free agent after the year. And I know some people even went to me and was like, how is this a loss for the Dallas Cowboys? They're going to get a compensatory pick back. So they're going to get a third-round pick, which they gave up to get George Pickens. But that's the problem. He's on a one-year deal. You've already paid Ceedee Lamb. You can't pay another wide receiver top-tier money. You can't do that. The Cowboys are already strapped for cash because they're paying Dak Prescott $60 million a year. They don't got the money for that. So, yeah, George Pickens is probably going to be fun. It's going to be good. It makes the Cowboys not as boring on the field or on the sideline with his antics. Either or, doesn't matter. He's going to be entertaining. He's going to get people on the screen looking at the Dallas Cowboys again. But that's the problem. He's only going to be there for a year. They cannot afford to pay him. So you get a third-round pick back. Whoop-de-doo. Guess what? Now you have a whole receiver all over again, like they did this offseason before they traded for him. So it's going to be a one-year rental for a talented player. You might as well just have drafted a receiver in the third round that maybe could have developed into something maybe not as good as George Pickens, because George Pickens is very, very talented, one of the most talented players at the wide receiver position in the league. But I mean, if you're going to do it for only 1 year, what are you doing? The Cowboys aren't going anywhere this year. They're not going to be good anyways. This is a move that you make if you're a team that needs one more piece to go make a championship run. The Cowboys are not even close to sniffing the playoffs this year, in my opinion. And spoiler alert, I have them finishing fourth in the division. That's why I have them going first to start off the NFC East, because I have them as a fourth place team. So the George Pickens trade, it's going to be fun, but it's only going to be for 1 year, which is why I have them losing this trade, because it's essentially pointless. But other than that, they brought in Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders. This is not encouraging at all. Javonte Williams, more disappointing than Miles Sanders. Javonte Williams, I thought he'd be the guy in Denver as their starting running back, but has not panned out, but is still talented. We'll have to see what he does. And then Miles Sanders, I don't have any faith in Miles Sanders anymore. His fall off after he left Philly was almost irredeemable. It was bad. He went from being a really good running back in the league to being completely and utterly irrelevant. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to sound disrespectful when I say that, but that is the truth. That is the truth. In Carolina, he was not the guy and quickly got leapfrogged over Chuba Hubbard, and they ended up replacing him with Rico Dowdle, who they lost, who we'll talk about more in a second. But on the defensive side, they brought in guys like Solomon Thomas, Peyton Turner, Dante Fowler to provide depth. Dante Fowler had a really good year last year. Wasn't great, but he had 10 sacks, was really productive, and for a guy that really hasn't lived up to his first-round pedigree, he's had a pretty successful career, and he's going to be a solid depth piece in the rotation as a solid third rusher, I think, although with Micah Parsons not playing anymore, they're going to need him to step up, which I think he'll play pretty well anyways. And then they brought in guys like Jim Houston, Jack Sanborn to provide depth at linebacker. They brought in Robert Rochelle and Christian Matthew to be depth as well. So overall, I mean, the depth on this team is better, considering that corner also has injury problems, so having some more depth is very much appreciated. But overall, they really didn't add anything of significance, true significance, other than George Pickens, which I already said is a one-year rental. And then you look at who they lost. And then on the defensive side, or offensive side, they lost Rico Dowdle, had 1,000 yards last year for them, really kind of came out of nowhere, and was one of the few things that made the Cowboys watchable. And instead of, I don't know, you had a terrible running game and keeping the guy that was actually productive for you, no, you let him walk and replace him with two guys that have been anything but productive for years. So that is not encouraging. That is not exciting at all. I do not like that they lost Rico Dowdle. I understand he's probably not a number one running back in the league, but when we talk about Jaden Blue, who they drafted out of Texas, if they had kept him and it would have been Jaden Blue and Rico Dowdle, I would have been pretty encouraged by that duo. But unfortunately, we can't have nice things because Jerry Jones doesn't want you to. So other than that, they lost Cooper Rush and Trey Lance. They traded for Trey Lance earlier in the 2024 season. or no, he traded him in the offseason, actually. I take that back. But he was the backup development, see if they could develop him, and they never really did with him anything with him anyways. Cooper Rush was their longtime backup, who was pretty good for the Dallas Cowboys when Dak Prescott got hurt. He stepped in there and played pretty well. He ended up going to Baltimore to be backing up Lamar Jackson. So losing that depth is unfortunate. But I forgot to mention that they did trade for quarterback Joe Milton, the former Tennessee product, drafted by the Patriots last year. So you have a talented backup, which is fun, but Cooper Rush does bring you a lot of stability and experience. So if Dak Prescott goes down, it's going to be really interesting to see what Joe Milton does. But if what he showed in his one start in Week 18 last year was any indicator, that is very encouraging because he played out of his mind in that game. But other than that, they lost Chuma Edoga, a backup tackle, and then the big one, the big one, Zach Martin, retired. Unfortunate because Jerry Jones also has treated Zach Martin pretty unfairly and not very good in these last couple years in Dallas. He's wanted a new deal. He's taken pay cuts, I'm pretty sure. Like, he's had a whole contract issue, considering that he's literally the best guard in the NFL, or was the best guard in the NFL almost unanimously. And he was done dirty by Jerry Jones. I'm not going to talk more about Jerry Jones. There's going to be so many things that tie back into him because, he is the owner and GM. Everything rises and dies through Jerry Jones. So he is going to be talked about a lot. But I'm going to try and keep it down to a minimum at this point. But losing Zach Martin, that just sucks. One of the greatest Dallas Cowboys ever, won numerous All-Pros, numerous Pro Bowlers. He is a first ballot Hall of Famer. And losing him absolutely just sucks. But congratulations for an outstanding career, Zach Martin. May your future endeavors be just as fruitful as your NFL career. And then on the defensive side, they lost DeMarcus Lawrence and Chauncey Goldston. Losing DeMarcus Lawrence, this one sucks because he's been there for a long time, but has not been as good. But at the same time, that's a veteran who's been in the locker room for a long time as well. So what he brings off the field is also very important. So losing that guy does suck. And Chauncey Goldston was okay, but losing him, they brought in some depth to kind of fill in that void. So not really as damaging. But then they also lost corner Jordan Lewis. Their starting nickel ended up going to Jacksonville. And the guy starting after him now this year is an unknown. So that's an issue in the cornerback room that's going to have to be addressed, and we're going to have to learn about that very, very quickly. And they also lost Amani Oruwariye, who's one of their backups. Had a really good year a few years ago in Detroit, where he had like 6 or 7 interceptions and was like top 3 in the league. But other than that, he really just has not been able to find his footing in the NFL. So he ended up going to the Titans. Yeah, he's a Titan now, fighting for a spot on their roster. But we will have to see what happens there. But with that being said, let's talk about the draft, because despite all the negative that I talked about the Dallas Cowboys, I thought they had one of the best draft classes this year. Oh my gosh, am I excited about this draft class. They got outstanding value. I love their first 4 picks. Good googly moogly. This draft class was incredible. And you got to start with guard out of Alabama, Tyler Booker. I get that there's some people that don't like Tyler Booker as a prospect. I would love to know why. Please let me know in the comments. But Tyler Booker is exactly what the Dallas Cowboys need to replace Zach Martin. Not only is on the field, Tyler Booker is a smart player. He's a great communicator. He is a wall. I know he doesn't move very well, but he is a wall. You cannot move him. He doesn't budge. And in the run game, he will knock you on your butt. He is really, really fun to watch. And not to mention why he really is the exact right guy the Cowboys needed. He is a leader. He was one of the most profound leaders in Alabama's locker room. And he was a pillar there. And I think he's going to be a pillar for the Dallas Cowboys franchise as well in that regard. Considering that all that Zach Martin did on the field and also for the community, I think Tyler Booker is the right guy to replace Zach Martin and take on that role and responsibility. He's got good offensive linemen around him to continue to develop and play well, and he's also one of the safest picks in this entire draft class. I think Tyler Booker is going to play really, really well, and very good kid. Can't be more happier and excited for Tyler Booker. but that continues with their second-round pick. Donovan Ezaraku out of Boston College led the FBS in sacks last year with 16.5. He is outstanding. A little bit undersized, but he's got really great length, which is a combination that is very disruptive. Not to mention, he's got great production, and he is the most polished edge rusher out of all the top edge rushers in this draft class. So to get him in the second round in the 50s was incredible, incredible value. I think that he has a chance to play really well early on. I don't know where he is on the depth chart right now. They have him near the bottom, which I'm not entirely sure what that indicates. But I want to see a lot of Donovan Ezaraku in this year without Micah Parsons. He's going to need to step up and play a lot of snaps, and he should. He is polished. He's got a lot of talent, explosive off the edge. I really love this pick of Donovan Ezaraku, but it doesn't stop there. It continues. The hype continues with their third-round pick, where they got even better value with Siobhan Revel, the corner out of East Carolina. Great length, great speed, and also very strong in contested catches. Very, very good prototypical mold for an NFL corner. And he tore his ACL in September, which that sucks. It ended up taking his entire 2024 season. But 2023, he was fantastic. And had he not gotten hurt, he's another one of these corners that would have gone, definitely without a shadow of a doubt, would have gone in the first round. He has so much talent. And if he can get that ACL right and remain to be healthy, oh my goodness, Siobhan Revel could end up being an absolute steal for the Dallas Cowboys. I love Siobhan Revel. I love his tape. I love what he does on the field. It's incredible. The value they've gotten with these three picks is just wow. Just wow, 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 wow. And it ends, I said the hype really ends with fifth round pick. Excuse me, let me take a sip of water. Excuse me, sorry. Running back Jaden Blue out of the University of Texas. He's 5'9", 189 pounds, 190, which, if you want perspective, that is me. I am 5'8", 190. I am the exact same size as Jaden Blue, so gotta root for Jaden Blue, because us short guys gotta stick together. But man, Jaden Blue is quick. He is explosive. He's got great burst. And the thing is, because of his height, he will get lost behind his offensive line, where you'll lose him, and before you know it, he is outside running up the sideline. Before you even know it, he is gone. He is broken through, gotten to the edge. Jaden Blue was really, really good for Texas last year. Not to mention that he is a hard runner for his size, kind of like Isaiah Pacheco, where he's not a big, strong back, but fights really hard for extra yards, really good effort, and also is dangerous out of the backfield as well. Jaden Blue is. So you got a lot to like here, and given that the two starting backs in front of him are Miles Sanders and Javonte Williams, I don't know how many snaps he's going to take, but please, Jerry Jones, get this guy on the field. He is younger. He has a lot more talent, I think. He will give this running back room some juice, because he brings the juice. And then we continue with some solid picks after this. I'm not going to say the hype train's done, but we got some picks here that I do really like. And it starts with linebacker Shamar James out of Florida. A little bit undersized, but he's a good athlete. Got good burst, gets downhill, uses his hands a lot. And he needs to develop more of his man coverage skills. And also his zone coverage could be a little bit better, but he does close quickly, has great breaks on the ball really well. And so this is a good athlete you want to take on day 3 in the draft and see if he develops for you. And they need linebackers. They need good linebackers, because their starters aren't really that great. And I wish that DeMarvion Overshown would step up and be really good. And he showed like he was last year, but then he got hurt. So we'll have to see what he does. They need good young linebackers, and Shamar James could be that for them if he develops. And then you look at Oregon offensive tackle Anjani Cornelius. Started a lot of games for the University of Oregon and the other college that he was at before that, but gets set. His kick out is really quick, so he seals off edges really quickly, but he is going to be a backup offensive lineman. He's probably going to be a swing tackle, but for now, he's going to provide some really good depth. He fits the mold of what the Dallas Cowboys offensive line is trying to do and what they're trying to be up front. So it's a scheme fit. I like it. And then you look at Jay Toya in the 7th round. Jay Toya has a chance to really get some snaps, because He's big. He is strong. Just like Tyler Booker, he is a wall. He is strong. He pushes the pocket. He can take on double teams. The only thing is I'd like to see him use his hands a lot more. He doesn't really use his hands to slip past blocks. He's shown flashes of it, but obviously that needs to develop. But the thing is, with the interior defensive line for the Dallas Cowboys, they need more guys like Jay Toya who do not get moved. That's the big thing. He just does not budge at all. And the interior defensive line for Dallas got moved and budged a lot. So Jay Toya has a chance to be in the rotation and play some significant snaps, and I'm excited for Jay Toya. They need guys like him, and I'm excited to see how he develops. And then you get running back Phil Maffa in the 7th round out of Clemson. He's a bigger back. He's 6'1", like 213 pounds, I think. Yeah, 213 pounds, but runs hard, very patient runner, and also for his size was effective out of the backfield. Wasn't like explosive or anything, but really helped keep Clemson's offense on schedule, which has allowed Cade Klubnik to perform the way he did. But he's going to be competing for a special teams role, probably going to be a special teams demon to start. But I think that with the terrible starters that Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders are, again, I don't mean disrespect, it's just the truth. I think him and Jaden Blue could be a really good duo in the future if they develop. You got your flash and you got your your smash and your dash with Phil Maffa and Jaden Blue. And so I like it. He also has potential to be a good pass blocker because of his size, which is really good to note. Then you get to their final pick in the 7th round, and here's a cool name, Tommy Akingbestot. That is one of the coolest last names I have ever seen. But again, Akingbestot is a guy that is versatile. He can move up and down the defensive line, has played at 0 technique, 1 technique, 3 technique, 5 technique. He's done the entire thing lining up and down the line, so he's going to bring some versatility. He's also raw as a prospect, so he's going to need time to develop his pass rush move, his technique, but he can end up becoming a really solid depth player for the Dallas Cowboys on the interior. And like I said with Jay Toya, they need good interior defensive linemen and good interior defensive line depth. I don't know if Akingbestot will ever be a starter for them, but he should provide some good depth to start as he develops throughout his career. So the draft, like I said, fan-flippin' task. This is one of my favorite drafts in the entire NFL this year, and they got great value. They really attacked positions of need for them. Oh, man, despite everything bad other than this draft class happening around the Dallas Cowboys, I am very encouraged by this draft class. And in a couple years, all three of these top guys, like Tyler Booker, Siobhan Revel, Donovan Ezeraku, could be really good. And then Jaden Blue, guys like Shamar James, Jay Toya could really take serious steps forward and become contributing players on their roster. So you're looking at a really high upside draft class that really address positions of need. I'm so excited. I'm really excited. But overall, is this roster improved? No, it is not. What they added in free agency and what they lost, I know the draft class is exciting, but they are rookies. It's going to need time. I don't expect rookies to come out the gate and play really well. There's only a couple that I have in the first round doing that. Tyler Booker is one of them, but Siobhan Rebel's going to need time because he's coming off of a torn ACL. Donovan Ezeraku is a rookie, very polished, but doesn't have a lot of high-end talent. Like, he doesn't have a very high ceiling, but his floor is extremely high. And they're going to need him, though. They're going to need him a lot since Micah Parsons isn't playing anymore. But that's that's a conversation for a later time. Let's look at their schedule. Let's look at the Dallas Cowboys schedule, because here's where things really get problematic for me, because the first half is mostly okay, but you look at this second half, and oh my dear Lord, it is awful. Really, really, really bad. And I just realized I didn't pull up the schedule for the Cowboys, so if you want, just give me 1 second. Let me just go here, do this, Cowboys schedule 2025, pull up the image, and here you go. You guys are already seeing it on screen. It's a pretty cool graphic, if I'm being honest, but this one's very hard to read for me, so I'm going to have to zoom in a little bit, wait for it to clear up. All right, and we are raring, ready to go. So week 1, they are on the road against Philadelphia on Thursday Night Football. This is the first game of the year, and whoever made this idea, I'm not going to say you're stupid, but why? Why? You could have done the Chiefs. They faced the Chiefs in, what is it? In week 13. they faced later in the year. Sure, it would have been better later in the year, but this could have been week 1, first game of the year, a Super Bowl rematch. Good googly moogly, they dropped the ball on this one. But this is going to be a de facto loss for the Cowboys. I think they're going to get smoked week 1. And then week 2, they're at home against the New York Giants. They should win this game. I think they split this year because I have them in a similar spot. But the Dallas Cowboys start 1-1, then go on the road to face the Chicago Bears. Cowboys could be competitive in this game, but with Matt Eberflus going up against his former team and former quarterback and Caleb Williams, probably should give them a little bit of trouble. But the Bears now have Ben Johnson. They have a new, fresh, exciting offense with a lot of young talent. And the Dallas Cowboys defense is not super duper exciting. So we'll have to see. But I think the Chicago Bears win this game, even though I think it's going to be pretty close. And then they're at home against the Green Bay Packers on Sunday Night Football. This one's going to be a competitive game just because of the rivalry that the Packers and Cowboys have. It's historic. There's no introduction there, but the Packers are a better football team. I have them winning. And then you look at the New York Jets and the Carolina Panthers, both teams on the road. The Jets, you could pull off a win here against the New York Jets. It's going to take a while for them to get going. With Justin Fields at quarterback, their defense gets a really good break here. And their offense should have a little bit of success, but the Jets defense is still pretty good. So it's going to probably be a low-scoring game, if I'm being honest. But I think the Dallas Cowboys could win this one. And then on the road against Carolina, they won last year against Carolina, so it's going to be a competitive football game. Winnable, but I think Carolina probably wins it. And so what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Week 7, you face the Washington Commanders at home. I think the Cowboys split with the Commanders. They were really fun to watch in Washington last year. That game went down to the wire. Really big roller coaster at the end of that game. Good Lord, was it a roller coaster. But it'll be a fun game. It'll be competitive. But I think at home, they probably get the win here, if I'm being honest. I would rather go for the home field advantage here. I lean more that way when I pick games like this anyways, just because it's a little bit of a safer option. But then here is where things begin to look a little off. You're on the road against Denver. This one's a loss. Denver is going to be a really good football team this year. The Dallas Cowboys are not going to be able to compete. Then you're at home against the Arizona Cardinals. That's on prime time. That's on Monday Night Football. That's going to be a competitive football game. I think they can win. But it is... No, that's at home. Excuse me. It is at home, so they do have that advantage. You know what? Give me the Cowboys to beat the Arizona Cardinals. They're at home. It's on prime time. A lot of people are going to be watching. This is what Jerry Jones likes, so the Cowboys should show up in prime time. Then you get a bye week a little bit more than halfway through. Not too bad. And now here's where things begin to fall apart. You come off your bye week to face the Raiders on Monday Night Football. This one is a loss. It's in Vegas. Vegas is going to be really good this year. Really good? No, but they're going to be a much better football team than what they were last year with Pete Carroll. I think the Cowboys are going to be not competitive in this football game. And then you're at home against Philly. That is a loss. At home against Kansas City. That is a loss. So you're looking at a 3-game stretch here that is just not favorable at all. And it gets worse. You're on the road against the Lions on Thursday Night Football on Thanksgiving. Wait, is it Thanksgiving? No. Wait. No. Wait, who do they face on Thanksgiving? Oh my goodness, why does it not say? It must be the Kansas City Chiefs game because that's the last week of November. So yeah, that's probably Thanksgiving Day because they always play on Thanksgiving. So that's probably it. But then Thursday Night Football against the Lions. No, that's a loss. Sorry, they're not good compared to the Lions. Then you get another primetime game against the Minnesota Vikings on Sunday Night Football. No, the Vikings are better. Yes, J.J. McCarthy is probably going to struggle for the Vikings. That's why I have them going 9-8. But they are still a much better football team. You see the trend that we're going here? They got a lot of tough opponents. Really tough opponents. And then, after that, they have to play against the Chargers at home. So, good Lord. This is a horrific stretch. And then on Christmas Day, you face the Washington Commanders. You're going to lose that one. I have them splitting. If they win at home, they're going to lose on the road. And then you go on the road at the New York Giants. I have them splitting. I think they win week 2. They're going to lose week 18. So you're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think they lose all 8 of those games. I have no reason to believe they win any one of them. All these teams, not only other than the Giants, I mean, they could win that one realistically. Commanders, maybe. I mean, they won in Washington last year, but from the Los Angeles Chargers, Vikings, Lions, Chiefs, Eagles, Raiders, those are all losses. They're going to, this second half of the schedule for them coming after their bye is brutal. It's awful. It's really, really awful, and I don't think the Cowboys are going to be able to compete. They might be able to keep a couple games close, maybe that I'm not thinking, but by no means are they going to be winning. At best, at absolute best, they finish this stretch after their bye week 2-6. Best case scenario, in my opinion. I don't think they win 3 games. I highly doubt that. And if they did, I'd get on my knees and pray to the Lord and say, holla frickin' Luya. So, that being said, how do I feel about the Dallas Cowboys? I think it pretty much made it known they're not going to be good this year. I think they're going to be bad. They're going to be boring, mostly, and I have very little faith. But with that being said, they do have some things to look at that should be fun for the Dallas Cowboys and not boring. Quarterback is obviously one of their biggest strengths. Dak Prescott, say what you want about Dak Prescott. Is he overpaid? Yes. Is he a choker in the playoffs? Yes. But there is no doubting that when he's on the field, he makes the Dallas Cowboys a much better football team. And when he's not there, this Cowboys team is certified doo-doo. So he's been very good. He's been productive. Everything you want other than the playoff production, you've got it in Dak Prescott. And then wide receiver is a strength for this team. Even with George Pickens being on a 1-year rental, Ceedee Lamb is still there. He's one of the best receivers in the league. He needs no introduction. But then Jalen Tolbert is there as well, who is good, very underrated. And then Kevontae Turpin, who is their star special teams ace, their returner, one of the best in the league. Also does some stuff at receiver. He's a gadget, so you'll see him like on reverse sweeps and whatnot. Sorry, as I said, water. My throat is really dry. But other than that, I mean, that's it. I will say, could I say their offensive line? I could put it there. I mean, their offensive line is going to be good this year. Is it going to be really, really good? I don't think so. But this offensive line is going to be good. So I can consider it a strength. I'll be fair and okay. We'll say it's a strength. But weaknesses, number 1 is running back. I've already made it clear. I do not like Miles Sanders or Javonte Williams. And losing Rico Dowdle, the one guy that was actually productive in your running back room, you decided to let him go. I'm not excited. I'm not excited for this running back group. I think it's going to be another bad year for the run game for the Dallas Cowboys. Here's the hoping. Jaden Blue, my guy, please do this for me. Please prove me wrong. The Cowboys run game is probably going to be pretty bad this year. And then defensive line has plenty of issues. On the interior, Mozzie Smith has not worked out. He was supposed to be the big interior run stuffer that they've needed, and not only has he not been that, he has been pretty bad. So that's not exciting. And then Marshawn Nealand, he's a fringe starter. And then Osa Ogadezua, I'm not really going to factor him in. I just don't know a whole lot about him, so I'm not going to speak. Excuse me, I don't know why I'm burping speaking on him. But their depth is okay, but they just have no good, seriously good talent on their interior defensive line. And then another major issue for the Dallas Cowboys is edge rusher. Without Micah Parsons, your 2 best pass rushers are Dante Fowler and Donovan Ezaraku. That's not good to start. Dante Fowler is a average starter in the NFL, and he's fine. But Donovan Ezaraku is a rookie. That's not a good situation for him to be in. The idea was he was going to be your strong number 2 edge rusher because Micah Parsons would give him a lot of one-on-one opportunities for him to shine and play his absolute best. He's not going to get that anymore. And so that is not encouraging at all. And then another one, linebacker. Look at the starters. Jack Sanborn, fringe starter. Maurice Lufau, fringe starter. Kenneth Murray. They traded for Kenneth Murray. As a Titans fan, I will tell you, you are not getting anything in Kenneth Murray other than a guy who can run downhill and can't cover worth of crap. Sorry, Kenneth Murray was pretty bad last year for Tennessee and simply could not develop into that player that they needed him to be. But former first-round pick has not lived up to expectations. What is new? So I want DeMarvin Overshown to come back and play well. They need him to, because outside of those 3 guys, DeMarvin Overshown, I think, has a chance to be the best. He is still young, has a lot of talent, and to see him right here on the depth chart not be starting, that is unfortunate. I want to see a lot of DeMarvin Overshown because he looked so promising before he went down with an injury that ended his season, which was super, super sad. And the last one, I'm going to say it, I think corner is a weakness for the Cowboys because DaRon Bland, Trayvon Diggs, especially Trayvon Diggs, when they're on the field, they are great. But the problem is they cannot stay healthy at all. Trayvon Diggs has missed a lot of games for the Cowboys in recent years. And DaRon Bland, after the incredible year he had last year, took a step backwards and also dealt with his own injury issues. And then Kamon Hall as the starting nickel after losing Jordan Lewis. He's an unknown. We'll have to see. But right now, I'm not excited about the Cowboys corners because they're going to get hurt. They're going to miss time. And then Siobhan Revel is going to have to come in. And he's coming off a torn ACL. You want him to come along slowly, but he's going to have to play probably a little earlier than expected. Even though he's probably going to get significant snaps anyways, he's probably, I don't want him to be starting too early and have a lot too much on his plate because the corners above him can't stay healthy. But unfortunately, that's probably what's going to happen. And also, Siobhan Revel has also dealt with some of his own injuries in camp anyways. So that's not great. That's really not great at all. And their next best guy is Kyer Elam, who was a former first-round pick. Fine, but there's a reason why why he was traded to the Dallas Cowboys really quickly after the season because he was a liability in Buffalo's secondary last year and lost his starting spot pretty quick. So that is not exciting. If all the starters are healthy, the secondary will be really good. But I cannot trust them to stay healthy a full 17 games and contribute at a high level. Not to mention DaRon Bland and Trayvon Diggs, they're great ball hawks, but also they're not good cover corners. They allow a lot of yards against good receivers. And so you get a lot of good, but also you're also getting plenty of bad with these two guys as well when they're on the field. So I'm sorry, I can't say corner is a strength. If they were healthier more consistently, sure, I could say it's a strength. But right now, I cannot say that in good faith. So we're breaking it all down. I already said I have them finishing 4th in the division, obviously not making the playoffs. But what do I think the Dallas Cowboys are going to be? And here is where I laid down the hammer. And Dallas Cowboys fans, I am sorry. I am very, very sorry that I have to do this. But smacking the gavel down, as I'll let my tablet fall over and do it for me. I have them going 6-11. I'm sorry. I said I'm not high on the Dallas Cowboys this year. I'm simply not. They have too many issues on the defensive side of the ball. Too many things I can't rely on to be good that should be good in theory, like the corners, like this defensive line. But Micah Parsons is out. Jerry Jones has screwed that up for them. And remember what happened when Micah Parsons wasn't on the field for Dallas? Their defense was not good. It was not good at all. And so losing that number one pass rusher is going to suck. Oh my God, why is my my tablet not staying upright? All right, I got it figured out. But with that being said, what are some storylines that I'm going to be looking at for the Dallas Cowboys? Well, number one, the connection from Prescott to Ceedee Lamb and George Pickens. That's going to be the must-watch thing on this team, quite frankly, and probably the one thing that's going to be fun to watch on this team. Regardless of how bad this team is around them, George Pickens, Ceedee Lamb, and Dak Prescott are going to be a fun trio to watch. They're all really talented. They're all really good. That should be the best part of this team, and it's going to be the most fun part of this team. It's going to be the one reason why the Cowboys are actually going to be watchable somewhat. So I'm going to be looking for that. I hope that connection is good. Hopefully Ceedee Lamb can come back from his injury and be strong and stay healthy this year. And George Pickens cannot get into too many antics on the sideline. And number two is, what's life going to be like without Micah Parsons? Well, this defense is not going to be as good. They were awful when he wasn't on the field. And so living without one of the best pass rushers in the NFL, your defense is going to really suffer because of it. And it's going to put a lot of pressure on Dante Fowler. It's going to put a lot of pressure on Donovan Ezeraku. And that's not good. That's really not good. And it sucks because Jerry Jones is the reason why this entire situation happened, because he thinks that he's a big shot and can do whatever he wants and continue to have success. That is not how it works. You do not do that to one of the best pass rushers in the NFL and the best player on your football team. But that is what Jerry Jones does. So life without Micah Parsons is going to suck. They're going to have to deal with it, but that's Jerry Jones' fault. And the third one is the rookie impact. I was so excited about all these rookies. How do they impact? What impact do they make? I think a lot of them have a chance to not just at least play a significant snaps in a rotation and be notable contributors. But Tyler Booker is going to start right away, and I think he's going to be good. Siobhan Revel is going to be in the rotation. I just hope he can stay healthy and get some significant snaps and develop and grow. That's what I'm expecting out of him. Then Donovan Azaraku, he better be starting. He better be playing. They need him to. He's a rookie, second-round pick, has a lot of talent, one of the best edge rushers on their roster. He needs to play games, or they need to start games. They need youth. They need him to develop, because if they don't, then this pass rush is going to be even worse than what it already, I think, is going to be without Micah. And then the third one is, when does Brian Schottenheimer get fired? Because even though he was hired by Jerry Jones to be his yes man, to be a puppet, well, guess what? When the Cowboys aren't good, Jerry and or 6-11, they look awful. They're not fun to watch, well, other than George Pickens, Ceedee Lamb, and Dak Prescott. The one thing that Jerry Jones does take very, very seriously is his viewership. His team has to be good, because if your team's not good, people aren't watching you. And if you're on primetime, despite how many games they have in primetime, if the Cowboys aren't good, not as many people are going to be tuned in, because the Cowboys aren't going to be good. And that doesn't bode well for Jerry Jones, because what does that mean for him? Just like Mr. Krabs, he loses money. He loses that scharo. He loses that moolah. So that's going to suck. And then guess who's going to be the scapegoat? Brian Schottenheimer. He's going to get fired. I don't know when, but he is going to be fired at some point during the season, if not after the season. And once again, the Cowboys will be looking for a new head coach, and they'll probably just promote like an offensive quality control coach to be that guy at that point. I don't know. I don't expect Jerry Jones to make the right decisions anymore. I think I've made that pretty clear. I think everybody knows that to this point about Jerry Jones. I don't have to say it, but I'm going to say it anyways, because Jerry Jones is the reason why this team is going to be awful in 2025. But with that being said, that is going to do it for me today for this video. If you guys have made it this far, please consider hitting the like button and subscribe button. It helps the channel out tremendously. We're trying to reach 500 subscribers before the end of the 2025 regular season ends. So we're doing a great job. You guys are doing a great job. If we can reach 200 before the season starts, that would be incredible. Also, Cowboys Nation, Dem Boys, let me know your thoughts in the comments. I am pretty interested to hear if any Dallas Cowboys fan has something to say about the Cowboys going 6-11. Please do. I really want to hear what you guys have to think about that. That's going to be a fun conversation in the comment section. Really fun indeed. But thirdly, make sure you guys follow me on social media, share this video on social media, whether it's on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all that good stuff. And then lastly, make sure to check out every other video in the 2025 season preview series. The NFC is halfway done. The North and the South are done, and the AFC is completely finished. So if you're a fan of one of these teams, or you know someone who is a fan of one of these teams, send them over here to the Should Make Take to check out their team on 2025 preview series. They're great videos. I think I did really good breakdowns of each team, so go check them out. And with that being said, that's going to do it for me. And as always, I will see you all, unlike the Dallas Cowboys being good, next time. I don't even know if that made any sense. I just wanted to get one more jab at the Cowboys.